The meeting between the federal government and the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) over the fuel subsidy removal ended on Wednesday evening without a consensus. Briefing journalists at the end of the meeting, the spokesman to President Bola Tinubu, Dele Alake, said talks between the Labour Union and the government would continue at a later date. Other government officials present were the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN Godwin Emefiele, former Edo State Governor Adams Oshiomhole, and the Group CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari.
Oh, we are trying to resolve the queues, and the labor, because necessarily labor unions will be agitated if there's any slight change in any price of any commodity, whether it's fuel, whether it's garri or bread. Labor will be agitated. That is what we are talking about. But in terms of pricing, you cannot control price when there is a deregulation. So there is a deregulation. The price you have today could go up tomorrow, could go down tomorrow. Don't forget. There will be interventions. We're not calling it palliative this around, but there will be interventions, at least so that the impact on the poorest of the poor in the society would be very minimal. That's part of the talks that are going on between government and labor. The talks are going on. We have adjourned today and we are meeting again to conclude. So all of those, the details and specifics of the interventions will then be reeled out when the meetings are over.
The organized labor was represented by the NLC National President Joe Ajaero and the President of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, Festus Osifo. The NLC President Joe Ajaero, who criticized the removal of subsidy, demanded that the status quo returns before any formal engagement with the NLC to protect the Nigerian workforce and prefer additional solutions.
The prayers of NLC is that we go back to status quo, negotiate, think of alternatives and all the effects and how to manage the effects this action is going to have on the people. If it is an action that must take off, is it the duty of NLC to raise funds for the government, to collect tax, to sell crude at the international market when the price of crude is going high? And the government that is a major exporter of a crude product is telling him there's no money. Other countries that are in the same scenario are eating fat.
If you listen to the president during the inauguration at Eagle Square, he said that one of the hallmarks of this administration is going to be dialogue, is going to be consultation, and that that this will be the hallmark, that they are not going to lord it over us, trying to paraphrase what he said, and not to be a dictator. So if you read it, it is clearly written there. And what has happened in terms of, as at today, has not shown what was written in his address. So all we've said before now was that, just as alluded to by my colleague as well, was that we ought to have sat down and have this conversation. At times it's difficult, before anything could have happened. We have been open to conversations. We started it in 2021, and somewhat part of 2022. But at the end of the day, they told us that they were not removing subsidy. So there was no conversation whatsoever. So for over a year, there wasn't formal engagements and formal meetings. And because there were informal engagements and meetings, that is why we found ourselves here today. If we had met before now, we could have proposed a lot of things. Just as the CNG has said, we have experts in our midst who could have proffered some solutions on even the CNG, how it could be done faster, what are the things that could be, because our own is how do we protect the Nigerian workforce.